One of the big selling points of the Switch is the ability to take it anywhere and play. The only thing that could possibly get in the way is that pesky battery. Now, according to Nintendo, the Switch will last between 2.5 to 6 hours depending on the game being played. So we decided to see if that's accurate and put the Switch through its paces in a worst case scenario, playing Zelda Breath of the Wild with everything cranked to the max. But before we get to the results, let's go over the parameters. Of course, we made sure the Switch batteries were fully charged before we switched it to the handheld form. In addition, we cranked the brightness to the max with auto brightness turned off. Sound was also at max volume and the Wi-Fi was turned on. Finally, we had the Joy-Con docked and fully charged to ensure that the Switch didn't waste its own battery charging them. With all that ready, we found a nice cliff right outside the Cave of Resurrection to stand on in Breath of the Wild and let the game run. Unfortunately, we can't actually show you Zelda yet, but we can show you the main menu and some of the warnings. Now, the only interaction we had with the game was to tap a button anytime the screen automatically dimmed to ensure that it was always at full brightness. Like we said, we're ruthless and don't want to cut the Switch any breaks. So, how long did it live? Did the results shock and amaze? Well, after an hour, the Switch had 64% of its battery life left. It's draining pretty quickly, but this is Zelda, so it was bound to happen. But will it keep up this pace? A little over an hour later is where we start running into trouble, as a low battery warning popped on screen at the 2 hour and 9 minute mark, indicating we only had 15% left. Uh-oh, are we really in the home stretch? Could it possibly hit 3 hours? Not likely, as a 5% low battery warning appeared just under 15 minutes later, at 2 hours and 23 minutes. The end was very near. Finally, at 2 hours and 28 minutes, the Switch automatically entered sleep mode. We tried to revive it and turn the Switch back on immediately. This only brought us another minute though before it went back to sleep. Our playtime was over. Rest well, sweet prince. So, there you have it. The Switch will last approximately 2.5 hours while playing Zelda in portable mode. Nintendo's estimation seems to be right on the money. But again, this seemed to be a worst case scenario, as the battery life will likely be improved by turning down the brightness, turning the Wi-Fi off, and playing a less intensive game than Breath of the Wild. Unfortunately, since Zelda is the only Switch game we have at the moment, we can't fully test the limits of a game that doesn't take place in a huge open world. But before we end this off, we did discover that it took 30 minutes for the Switch to recharge to 10% battery life while we continued to play Zelda in docked form, just to give an idea of what it's like to continue playing once you finally find an outlet. This is just a small taste of what we have planned for the Switch though, you can be sure of that. But until then, thanks for watching and be sure to check out our other Switch videos and subscribe to GameXplain for tons more coverage on the Switch, Breath of the Wild, and other things gaming.